We're going to use the Stratoblaster instructions along with the video so that you can have a successful Stratoblaster rocket. We're going to use the Stratoblaster kit. We open up the box and find inside, of course, a bottle, a body tube, a holding fixture, a ping pong ball, a bag of essential goodies, some material for the fins, an instruction booklet, and a Stratoblaster parts and fin pattern. We're going to use the pumper to pump up your bottle and to keep it stiff while we attach the fins and the body tube to the rocket. For this project, we're going to need a cool melt glue gun. A cool melt glue gun is different than a hot melt glue gun in that the temperature is much cooler than that of a hot melt. The glue coming out will be cooler and therefore will not distress the bottle. To begin the construction process, we first screw the pumper onto the end of the bottle and pump it up several times until the bottle is stiff. We will use a ruler on the parts and fin pattern to measure the distance around the bottle and mark the position of the fins. We need to cut the ruler from the fin pattern cutting along the edges of the ruler. And now we have a ruler. We will mark the bottle at the 3, 6, and 9-inch marks. We will use the ruler to make 3 marks around the circumference of the bottle. And we'll make the marks at the beginning of the taper at the end of the bottle where the opening is. We'll make a mark at the 3-inch position. We'll make a mark at the 6-inch position. And we'll make a mark at the 9-inch position. Next, we need to cut out the fin pattern from the Stratoblaster parts and fin pattern sheet. This is the pattern that we'll use for each of the 3 fins of your Stratoblaster rocket. We'll use our marker again to mark around the pattern for the fin on the fin material. That will be one fin. We'll put the pattern on again and mark out a second fin. And a third time to make the third fin. Using our scissors, we'll cut out each of the fins. There's one fin. Two fins. And 3 fins. We'll position the box with the red mark at the corner of the box, and we'll draw a straight line about 2 inches long up the bottle at the mark. We'll rotate the bottle once again to the next red mark. We line the corner of the box with the red mark, and we make a 2-inch line vertically on the bottle. Now we've completed marking the bottle where the fins will be. To prepare the surface of the bottle to attach the fin, we need to rough up the surface of the bottle using a piece of sandpaper included in your kit. In the area where we have the red mark on the bottle, we'll lightly sand the bottle to make a surface for the glue to attach to. Now we rotate the bottle and we rough up the surface at the second mark. Rotate the bottle once again and rough up the third position where we will have a fin. We also need to rough up the surface of the end of the bottle where we're going to glue the body tube onto the bottle. The box that your Stratoblaster came in will act as a holding fixture while we glue the body tube to the bottle. To make the holding fixture, we need to cut out 2 slots, one on each end of the box. Like this. On the other end, we make a similar slot. These slots need to be big enough for your body tube to pass through. We need to fold the holding fixture on the perforated lines. Like this. We place the fixture in the bottom of the box so it looks like this. Check both ends of the box to ensure that the curved cutout on the holding fixture is not obstructed by the portion of the box that you cut out. We will place the bottle into the holding fixture with the pumper on one end sticking out of the holding fixture and the end of the bottle next to the holding fixture on the inside. We place the body tube into the holding fixture. We're ready to apply glue. We remove the bottle and take our trusty cool melt glue gun, glue around the bottom of the bottle, after the glue has set up, we remove the bottle and body tube, and we'll apply a bead of glue around the bottom of the body tube next to the bottle. And we place the body tube into the glue. We hold it there for a few seconds until the glue is set, and rotate the body tube and bottle around as we apply the glue. You may want to go around a couple times, applying a small bead of glue as you go. We're ready to attach our fins to the bottle now. To do this, again we take our trusty glue gun and we run a bead of glue along the 2-inch lines that we made earlier. We run a small bead of glue along the line, and then before the glue sets up, we place the fin into the glue along the line. Once the glue has set up, again we take our trusty glue gun and we run a bead of glue along the side of the fin at the bottle. This will strengthen the joint, and then we run another bead of glue on the other side of the fin to complete our attachment of the fin. We repeat the process at the next 2-inch mark, applying a bead of glue along the line, placing the fin into the glue, holding it for a couple seconds until it sets up, and then placing a bead of glue next to the fin at the bottle. We'll want to wait for a few seconds in between each fin to let the glue dry. We run a third bead of glue along the third line, place the fin in the glue, and again run a bead of glue along the side. The rocket now has 3 fins attached. Our bottle rocket is beginning to look more like a real rocket now, but we have a slight problem. If we were to shoot this bottle rocket off at this point, we'd have air trapped inside the body tube, as well as air traveling across the bottom of the bottle and causing a big disturbance because this bottle is rough. To overcome this, we need a transition cone. To make the transition cone, we'll cut out the pattern for the cone off the Stratoblaster parts and fin pattern sheet. Be sure not to cut on the dotted line. To change the transition cone from being a flat piece of cardboard into an actual cone figure, we're going to run the transition cone pattern over the corner of a tabletop like this. We pull down forcefully as we pull it across the corner, and it begins shaping it into the shape of a cone. We will need to do this several times. And then we place the cone in our hands tightly and squeeze it just a little bit. We don't want to crease it. We just squeeze it a little bit. And now it's in the basic shape of a cone. To complete the transition cone, we need to tape together the 2 edges of the cone along the dotted line. To do this, we hold the transition cone so that the 2 edges are like this, one edge over the dotted line of the other edge, and we place a piece of cellophane tape over one end to hold it. We place a second piece of cellophane tape over the other end. We place a third piece of tape the length of the transition cone like that. The cone that we just made goes over the body tube and slides down over the end of the bottle. We're going to prepare the nose cone of the rocket by threading a thread through a hole in the bottom of the plastic insert. Be sure not to pull the thread all the way through, leave about an inch. Once again, we will take our trusty glue gun and place a bead of glue over the thread onto the plastic insert. The other end of the thread will be attached to our ping pong ball, once again using cool melt glue. Place a bead of glue directly above the thread onto the ball. We put the plastic insert with ping pong ball into the end of the body tube. Like that. Our rocket is now complete. We have a nose cone, which is actually a ping pong ball, which provides aerodynamic airflow across the front of the rocket, a transition cone, which provides smooth airflow across the body of the rocket, and then fins, which stabilize the rocket as the rocket goes through the air. Your Stratoblaster rocket is now ready for launching. If you like, you can finish it using paint, decals, or polka dots, or whatever suits you at the time. Hello kids, we're out here in the middle of the field getting ready to launch our Stratoblaster. You know, when you get ready for a launch, you want to be sure that you have a clear area away from buildings and trees and other structures so that you can launch your Stratoblaster safely. We're going to use the aquaport to launch our Stratoblaster. We need to hook the aquaport up to a bicycle pump. To hook the aquaport up to the bicycle pump, we insert the tube from the aquaport into the nozzle of the bicycle pump and turn the head. To get a good launch, we need a little ballast in the rocket. That is, a little bit of water in the bottle will help the rocket during its first few feet of flight. We're going to add water to about the half to 2/3 full level. To attach the Stratoblaster to the launcher, we pull the plastic insert out and plug it into the bottom of the bottle. We're now ready to set the Stratoblaster on the launcher. Push down the tube, pull the aluminum fingers in, and slide the lever down. We want to be sure to insert the keeper key into the hole as a safety precaution to keep the bottle from launching. One last thing before we begin fueling the rocket, we want to be sure that the ping pong ball is directly on top of the rocket, like that. We're ready to fuel the Stratoblaster rocket now. Our fuel is going to be compressed air, and we're going to add it by using a bicycle pump. We'll begin by pumping a few strokes of air into the Stratoblaster, like this. You'll notice as we pump that there are air bubbles coming up through the water. That is air from the bicycle pump being pumped into the Stratoblaster rocket. Now that the bottle is pressurized, we can remove the holding pin. When we're ready to launch, we want to be sure we know how hard the wind is blowing. To do that, we can use a handy-dandy wind meter. Now there are other varieties of wind meters. This one happens to be electronic. And you hold it up in the air and it reads out how many miles per hour or meters per second or kilometers per hour. Lots of different ways you can measure wind speed, but we're going to measure it in miles per hour. Before launching, be sure that everyone is 15 feet away from the aquaport for safety's sake. Okay, we're ready for launch. Be sure when you pull on the cord to look upward because that rocket is going to go up really fast. As with all rocket launches, we need a countdown. So if you want, you can join in with me in this countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off!